Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to GosipHI. So today I'm going to make this content in English, as I plan to do it once in a while to give some variation to my content. But it will all depend on the circumstances, yeah. If the situation is feasible, then I'm going to do it in English. But most of my contents would be in Bahasa Indonesia. So let's just start. One of the most interesting topics in today's global politics is the rise of the Cold War 2.0 narrative. So what is Cold War 2.0 actually about? As we know that the Cold War, which happened long time ago, was a contestation between two great powers at the time. USA with their allies against the Union of Soviet Sovereign Republics, or we commonly knew as Soviet Union, and their allies. But today, China has risen as the new major power that pose a very significant threat on the US position in the global politics. In the past decades, China has emerged as one of the most influential actors in international relations, as well as become the major and the most dangerous rival for USA. So the Cold War 2.0 is arguably about the competition between USA and China that happened today. So after I read several articles, I found out that this so-called Cold War 2.0 actually talks about four primary dimensions. First, ideology. Second, economy. Third, technology. And the fourth is military. So first, ideology. The Cold War that happened in 1947 until 1991 was actually a contestation between two great ideologies at the time: liberal democratic versus communist ideology. But the role of ideology today is arguably not as significant as it was in the past. Yet still, it still plays an important role, especially in this case of the Cold War 2.0. We can see from what happened in China. China is now ruled by the Chinese Communist Party, which means that the Communist Party is in control of their government, which also means that they pose the most significant influence on Chinese policies. But one thing that we should take into account is that China no longer perform communism in their activities the way Soviet Union performed or exercised communism in the past. But from what that I can see, China treat communism today as something that gives them identity, something that can bring a sense of differentiation, something that can make them different from the rest of the global parties, including USA. In this case, ideology, communism, can bring them a sense of exclusiveness that give them some kind of pride that they have their own identity that is entirely different than their biggest rival. And in this case, this kind of differentiations play a major part in their rivalries, of course. And next is economy. In the recent years, China and USA have been getting involved in some kind of trade war. USA have been trying to limit the products and commodities from China to enter their market. They did this by putting some tariff, taxes, and so on. And China also did the same to US commodities. But one thing that we cannot deny is that these two countries are actually very interdependent trading partners. So the volume of transactions between these two countries is really huge. As a matter of fact, China is a very big market for USA and vice versa. So, losing China as their trading partner will cause US to suffer for significant economic loss and vice versa. So, in this case, we can say that the relationship between these two great powers is some kind of paradoxical relationship. On the one hand, they hate each other, but on the other hand, they still need each other. Okay, that's economy. Next, technologies. As we know that the Cold War that happened in the past between USA and Soviet Unions mostly highlighted the military technologies in the way all these contrasting blocks try to develop the military technologies that can overcome their respective rivals. But today it is much more dynamic. The term, the Cold War 2.0 itself, is related to the term that we usually use to define what happened in the world right now, which is the Industrial Revolution 4.0. So what does this mean? This means that the Cold War 2.0 is mainly about technologies. It's about modernizations. It's about the development of all the aspects of our lives. So in this case, we can see that the Chinese technologies have been intensively penetrating the global market in the recent years. And they have also invaded the US market. As we know that one of the biggest technological companies from China, which work on information and communications, Huawei, has been penetrating US market and caused USA to slowly lose their domestic market. As a response, USA tried to conduct such countermeasures to stop the invasion of Chinese technology in their national market. And I believe China did the same to US technology and will also do the same for the time to come. Okay, that's technology. Next would be military. This is also a very important aspect to see the constellations of politics between these two major powers. We can clearly see this by analyzing the policies taken by China in the past years, which we can say very, very aggressive. For instance, China has built a military base in the disputing South China Sea area, which has also attracted serious attentions from many global parties in the world, including USA. China also has built several other military facilities in some different parts of the world. But I believe that USA will not let things go as it is. They will do some counter policies to prevent China from taking over the control of this global community and becoming the single hegemon of the global politics. So let's see what the US is capable of doing for the time to come. Okay, one thing that we need to also take into account is that this kind of issue firstly came to the fore once Donald Trump became the president of USA. Yet, many experts argue that even though the presidential position has been taken over by Joe Biden, the situation will not be much different. In this case, some policies that US took under Donald Trump's tenure will also be followed by the current regime. So we can expect more to come from the contestations between China and US. Okay, for the next occasions, we're going to discuss the security and defense perspective of this issue. And also, we may also talk about the involvement of the other countries as well, like India maybe. And for that, I'm going to invite my friend. A friend of mine would join me in the next video. So stay tuned. See you next time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.